Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. We're going to be reviewing the Daikyojin and Daitenba DX version by Takatoku. This is a really great old Chogokin that people don't get to see very often. There's a lot to these guys, so pull up a chair and make yourself comfy. To start with, let's go over the anime that these Chogokin came from. It ran in the early 80s for 52 episodes. In Japan, it was called Yattodettaman. In Italy, where it was super popular, it was called Calendarman. The story is simple. In the future, there's this kingdom and the king dies. There's this magical phoenix that travels through time and can grant the power to rule the kingdom. There's a bad prince, a princess, and their helpers. They want to rule the kingdom, but they're evil and kind of stupid and super incompetent. To stop them, there's a good princess and her helper, and they travel back in time to what is considered today, although obviously it's not today, it's like back in the 70s today. And they ask for help from her ancestors to capture this firebird. The people in the anime who are helping the princess are Wataru and his girlfriend Koyomi. They're in their middle teens. Wataru is a complete wuss until he becomes Yattodetaman by blowing this flute, and then he suddenly becomes brave. His flute also does some other stuff. In order to summon Daikyojin, the girl Koyomi has this locket, and the guy Wataru has his key. And yeah, no innuendo or anything there, that he has to stick it in there and unlock the lock. Anyway, Daikyojin flies in as a ship and then transforms into the robot. And although Yattodetaman pilots Daikyojin, the robots also act and appear to have feelings on their own. The show is kind of a trip and has the worst 70s video effects, but if nothing else, it gave us these two awesome toys. Alright, before I get too far into this, let me just first say, yes, I am aware that my toy is not in pristine condition. It is a toy. It is much loved. This has not been a bookshelf queen. So, let me just throw that out there right from the get-go. As I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot of toys and I just don't play with them as much. But this one I got when I was quite young and I played with it a lot because it's flippin' cool. So, anywho, on with the review. This review is primarily focused on these old versions of these toys. There are some new versions that I'm going to kind of go into a little bit later, but in these old versions alone, they've been sold in lots of different ways. This is the DX version where they're sold together. There's a standard version of just Daikyojin. Daikyojin is the robot, Daitenba is the horse. There's a DX version where you could buy each robot separately. There's a golden box version and a quote-unquote super block version and a carded version of just Daikyojin. Let's see, there's also a mini that you could buy separately or together and a super action. Now let's get on with the review of this toy. One of the great things about the toys that were coming out around this time were the really great boxes. They were big, they were colorful, they had some really nice graphics on them, sometimes from the anime. This one had like a schematic of the inside of the robots, and that's pretty cool. Even though the only colorful part of the box is this cover, it's still interesting. This one, like a lot of the ones of this size, also has a carrying handle, which is a good and a bad thing. On the one hand, it makes it easier to transport. On the other hand, a lot of these boxes tended to rip right around that handle. So once we take off the cover, we can see inside that this is packaged in the very, very typical way that things were packaged back then. There's a black cover that has printed on it what every toy is in the box. On the back of the black cover, there's taped a clear plastic that you can see through, which is nice because that protects the toys. You take that off and you can see exactly where each toy lives in the styrofoam. Alright, let's start with the robot Daikyojin. These are all the things that he comes with for his various transformations. Like a lot of robots back in the day, he is very blocky looking. These flames that he has kind of really break that up visually. He has a good weight to him. There's a lot of die-cast metal. There's a lot of plastic. The plastic has seam lines in it, so he's not like the best looking robot that way. He has some really good ratcheting action, which is really nice. He has it in his shoulders, not so much in his knees, but he does have it in his ankles. And, like a lot of the other robots of this time, he also has terrible balance, so he can't stand without both legs being down. His head doesn't move. It's pretty much just stuck there. And both wrists rotate, and they rotate in either direction, which is really nice. His right hand only shoots as a missile. Push the little yellow button, and off it goes. Cha! Anyway, it doesn't move really far, but maybe the springs are old, not sure, but it moves anyway. So back in the day, like this time, a lot of the sculpt isn't detailed. It's mostly done with the stickers, and he's no exception. You can see here the detail of the inside of his wrists. And that part, the inside silver part, looks that way for a very particular reason, which we'll go into later. Position him just right for the next part of this. And still working on positioning him just right because, yeah. I'll get there. Looking at his parts that he has, this is the first part that we're going to look at. This is like this flame thing that he has on his back. You can see it's sculpted a little bit differently on one side than the other. The one side has a little indent. To put it on, you just flip this back part, red part, down, and the part with the indent has to be towards you. This is a bit of a bugger to close because if it's not lined up just perfectly, not just this red part but also his head, it does not close correctly, and it is just difficult. Speaking of wonky design things, if he has that red thing on and you move his arm forward, it pushes that red thing back, so it's not flush anymore. You have to either have his arms completely down or out at 90 degrees. On to the other things that he comes with, to play with just with him. The sword. The sword is nice and shiny, it has a nice chrome finish, it has his logo at the very end, which is actually a nice little sculpted detail. It also has it in the hilt. The actual sculpt on the sword is pretty nice. The only thing that kind of irritates me is you can see that circle right there at the end on the hilt, and that's just a hole in it, and I don't know why that's there. You also have this stabby speary thing. I don't know what this is called. It also has his logo in it, and as you can see, it's kind of wider right there, and that keeps it from slipping all the way down into his fist. So that's a really, really nice detail, so that it's not constantly resting on the floor. All of these are plastic, by the way, as well as his bow and arrow. The bow is... I'm very scared to pull on this string because I'm afraid I'm going to break it. So I'd never pull on it, ever. However, this arrow has this kind of notch at both ends. It has one on the feather end, which you're supposed to be able to hook into that string, and it's supposed to keep it there. I am terrified of doing this because I'm afraid I'm going to break that string. In fact, I'm pretty sure I would. So you can just attach it to the front end, and it stays. It's really solid, which is nice. So it gives you a way to kind of put that into his fist, and all this stuff will go into either fist, by the way. But it'll give you an easy way to just put that into his fist and keep the arrow right there with that. Because otherwise, that arrow does not stay in his fist when it's here when his hand is in the upraised position. It just slides right through. So you have to drop his fist down a little bit just to make him hold the arrow. You can try and flip the arrow either way, and usually it just slides right through his hand. It doesn't stay for anything. So either you attach the thing to the bow, or you just leave it on the ground, because what else are you going to do with this thing? It just doesn't stay. One of the great things about this set is that it's multi-transforming and none of the transformations are difficult, and I just love that. So the horse transforms, the robot transforms, and then they do transformations together. We're doing the spaceship transformation from the robot. First things, remove the wrists. Left wrist just twists off. It twists off in only one direction, so it's great. There's no place to put his hands after you've taken them off, so you just have to set them to the side. Right hand just shoots off like we did earlier. Then we go down to the feet. Just pop his feet down, push this red button on the top, and his toes pop out. 1, 2. Then we're going to flip him over, hit this metal button on his butt, hold that down, and then push his feet all the way up. And then he's got these locking pieces on the side on his hips, and that keeps the legs from coming back down. Use your fingernail, pop out the wheels. Good metal wheels. Love a good metal wheel. Nothing can go wrong with that. Then we need to move his head. Pop down this plastic piece. Just flip his head down. You see he's got wheels now for this end of the transformation. Take the wing piece, put it in, close the door. This is actually a lot easier to close now that his head is inside the compartment than it was when it was on his shoulders. Weird, but whatever. So it rolls. Like, it doesn't roll great, but it rolls. All right, next piece, next part. We're going to take the arms, move them forward. There we go. And then we're going to take this plastic piece. This is where the pilot sits. This is not like the best design in the world. In fact, I kind of really don't like it. The arms have springs inside, and the only thing really that makes this stay is the tension between this little piece where it's sitting here and the springs in the arms. And it's a little bit difficult to put in, and even once you get it, if you bump it, it comes right off. So this is not the best design in the world. And it honestly doesn't even look great. But, you know, it's one of those kind of, hey, it's old school, we're just going to let it fly. Then you're going to take this blue plastic piece. You're also going to use this for other transformations. But you take this little bitty yellow piece, slip it right in here. There you go. And then it has a couple of places right there and there that you're going to slip that in. This not only holds that yellow piece together, but it keeps the legs together. And this is your spaceship. This is it. This is what it looks like. It also has missiles, which is nice. It has one on either side of the leg. They just slip right in there. One. Okay, this one's not going to go in. And just in case we've forgotten at this point what the actual spaceship looks like in the anime, this is what it looked like. To shoot the side missiles, you just push on the flames. They push in very, very easily. You just push the top part, and these missiles shoot really far. Again, it's not the best looking thing in the world, but it is what it is. The thing that really, really, really irritates me about this is the way that it doesn't just sit straight, the way that this plastic piece doesn't sit straight. That really bothers me. For now, we're going to go ahead and bench Daikyojin, the robot, and we're going to focus on Daitenba, the horse. These are all the things that the horse uses in its transformations. And let's clean this up so that we can talk about the horse. Poof! Ooh, it's like magic. Anyway, getting back to the horse. The main part of his body is die-cast, this lower part of his body. The upper part of his body and every other part on him is plastic. It has ratcheting on his legs where it attaches to his body, but that's the only part of his legs that ratchet. Every other part is just held on with screws, so it's a smooth action. They have all kind of forward-backward range of motion, but no side-to-side range of motion. And they'll keep moving until they hit something else. Like here on this back leg, you can see it in particular. This blue area is hollow inside, so the legs will move back until it hits the end, and forward until it hits that front part. Again, there's just no ratcheting on the rest, but it has a good range of motion. The head also moves a little bit. No ratcheting on that either. Nothing side to side happening on the head, the neck. The neck is solid. It just doesn't move at all. He stands really well, even with just 3 legs on the ground, so that's nice that he's very steady. He has wings that he comes with. They can be put on backwards or forwards. I don't know why my hand is shaking here. Apparently I've had way too much coffee. Anyway, it doesn't really matter which way you put them in. They go in easily. They just slide into these slots on his back. So, 1, 2. Very, very easy to do. It's really actually nice that his front legs can't collapse in on themselves, that they're limited in range of motion going forward. Next up, we have these wheels. They're plastic and they do spin. It's a little bit hard to see because of the lights and everything, but they can go in any of the holes on his legs. You just line up these rectangles and push it into the joint. They work really, really well. They're very easy to put in and remove. So this is the same piece that we used on the spaceship. We can use it again with the horse. We're also going to use it later. So this is a very, very multifunctional piece. These are the missiles that go with it. I forgot to use it in the spaceship part, but you just pop them right on in here. And we're going to attach it by these pegs to his chest. They just go in the holes in his chest. And to make the missile shoot, all you have to do is push the little white levers on the top. Pew! And they shoot pretty far, which is really nice. Pew! So, maybe not super far, but far enough. We're going to do the horse's first transformation because he actually does 2. The first thing we're going to do is move his legs up and then bend his knees back as far as they will go. Now remember I said before that this inside blue part was hollow? You just fold his back legs up and tuck them inside. It's really clever actually, the way that they've managed to hide his back legs. There we go. And the bottom part of his body has little wheels on it, which I'll show you in a second. There's no rubber. These don't move at all. They're supposed to be like tank wheels, but they don't really do anything. They're just plastic, but they clip over his back legs. So it looks like he actually has tanks. There you go. And it really does roll because of his front rollers and these metal wheels on his bottom. Well, on his belly, not his bottom. And it really does roll, which is nice. Again, I love those metal wheels. Just can't go wrong with them. So, that's transformation number 1. We can go directly from here into transformation number 2. We're going to start by using this other yellow piece. And this is going to be replacing his neck. So the sticker looks very similar to the other sticker. We're again going to use this blue piece. It is going to clip onto the top of this. So we're going to be replacing his current neck and head with this new neck and head. First, you just pull up on his neck. This is as far up as it goes, his neck. So you pull up on it and gently open his back up, and you have to cock his head forward so that it will fit inside of his body. Love how the whole thing just completely disappears. And then this, very simply, just clips right on. And there you have a tank. Put the missiles in, and he's ready for action. So as I'm sitting here continuing to play with the robot, I figured we could take a quick clip of the anime, take a look at it, and see how they combine together to form the centaur. Now, this toy doesn't transform exactly the same way, and you'll see it in just a second because rather than put the centaur together, I figured it'd be easier to take the centaur apart. So here is the centaur kind of in tank mode. It is you can see this giant thing that looks like a backpack, and it's his legs, and because it's not a perfect transformation, these exist. Some of the toys didn't have that. So to turn this into the centaur, first we pop off these tank parts, tank treads, I guess you'd say, unfold his back legs, and then we're going to unfold his front legs, and here we have the centaur. Very, very easy to go from one of those transformations to the other transformation. And it's also equally easy to turn this into each individual robot. To begin with, we're going to go ahead and raise both of his arms, because this is a lot easier to do when his arms are raised. And then he has these metal pieces on his side, right there and there. You just squeeze them together to unlatch him from the bottom. Get this out of the way. Fold his legs down. 1, come on, and 2. And then we're going to push. We're going to get his legs in the correct position, and sometimes they will push back up into his body, and you're constantly having to fiddle with it until you get them in the right position. But this is how you want it. You want you just want them to be solid. Fold his legs, feet back up, and you're good to go. He's done. The horse is somewhat trickier because of his mane. His mane will get stuck on his back, so it's a lot easier to flip him over and let gravity help you with this. But once you get his head out of his back, he's done too. So easy peasy. Checking in with some actual figures on these guys. The two together with most of their gear but none of their extra things weighs 1 pound 7.3 ounces. So that's not too bad. And if we take the robot, Daikyojin, he weighs 10.9 ounces. So he's not super heavy. And Daitenba weighs 11.1 ounces, just slightly more than the robot. In terms of height, neither of these are particularly large. The robot is coming in at 7.5 inches roughly, and the horse is about at 6 3/4 inches, so neither one is really huge. I did mention previously that there have been some reissues of this toy. Evolution Toy has made a new version, and I haven't actually played with it, so I don't know anything about it, can't tell you anything about it. However, Uni5 has also made 2 versions of it. They've made the standard version, which is a lot like this version that I've done in this review, only like his elbows move a lot better and his head moves. And I actually have the black version of this, and I'm going to be doing a review of that in the future. Hope you like, subscribe, all that jazz so that you can manage to catch that review. In the meantime, do you have one of these? Do you want one of these? Do you prefer the old version or the new version? Give me your thoughts. Tell me what you think. In terms of me and my final thoughts on this toy, I still love it. I realize I'm very prejudiced about this because it is my toy. I played with it a lot when I was a kid, and it has lots of childhood memories associated with it. If I had to look at it with fresh eyes, I would not be as kind to it, because it does have some transforming issues that are irksome now that I didn't find as irksome when I was younger. But the horse I still adore. It is a good, solid Chogokin. It's lasted for decades. You know, as long as you can find all the pieces and everything and find it for a good price, I think it's totally worth the buy. Anyway, we'll cut that out. Anyway. Like a lot of robots back in this time, he's very metal. Not like rock and roll metal, but like metal. He's die cast. Sound like a seal. Thank you everybody for watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. I put a lot of effort into it, and I really enjoy doing it. If you've enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, comment. I'd love to hear your comments, and especially if it's a good comment, because it just makes my day. Click over here to watch another video, and I will catch you guys next time.